Guys and girls, we're moving on with the T5 project, and this week we're looking at a diesel heater. It's been a bit chilly, it's not too warm in the back for the kids. Going to put a diesel heater in it. We've got a fresh Tyvek, fresh haircut, Chinese diesel heater, T5 transporter, everything you need to install a T5 or a heater into a T5. Let's get into it. So, as you can see, I've unboxed it all. This is take 2 on the shot, but that was 8 minutes long, so let's quickly shorten it. What you're going to get in the box for 65 quid, you're going to get a heater. And just briefly, Chinese diesel heaters. I know a lot of people, on the T5 forums, a lot of people, some want to say, what diesel heater shall I get for my T5? They'll all come in, yeah, get the Planner or get the Herbispatcher, 1,000 quid. Cheap. They ain't cheap. They might be good, don't get me wrong, but they're out of my budget, out of a lot of people's budget. Don't be fooled. These Chinese diesel heaters are absolutely brilliant. I had one in my I had one in my Transit. I've had one in my boat, and that was fitted about 7 or 8 years ago. Used it for a couple of winters, and Sean, big shout out to you, the guy who bought my boat. If you get a minute, run out to the boat, see if the heater still works. This is like 7, 8 years on. Drop a comment down below if it still works, because I'm sure it will. Fitted one in my Transit, never had a problem. Fitted one in my brother's Transit, and he lived in that for like 3, 4 years. Never had a problem with it. 2 problems I've seen out of the 10 heaters I've owned in my life. First one, fuel pumps sometimes fail. They're like 13, 15 quid from eBay. Buy one as a spare, stick it in the glove box. Second problem, right in the bottom of the heater here, there's the fuel line. Well, after 5 years of my brother using it constantly, at the end of this fuel line, just in the heater, is a little metal gauze. What happened was, he would fire the heater up, and it would pop these 2 pipes apart. What's going on? It was pressurising. Basically, the little gauze in the heater had got carboned up. So my brother pulled the gauze out, beat it. You can buy new ones, but he just beat it around on the bench, got all the carbon off and wedged it back in. Worked fine after that. They're the 2 issues I've seen. Blocked up gauze after about 5 years of solid use. And I've never seen one, that was just my brother's. But I have seen a couple of fuel pumps fail. If you turn your heater on, you can't hear a ticking after about 30 seconds. If it ain't ticking and it goes to error, it's probably this. And most of the errors that come up with these Chinese diesel heaters is normally user error. Your battery's too low, or you haven't bled the fuel system. Yeah, so as I say, I took a shot, and it's completely ruined because I've already unboxed it. I just unboxed it. One thing I can tell you, this is a 1 to 2 kilowatt heater. This is a smallish, mediumish fan. You're not going to want an 8 kilowatt heater in a T5. I've got a 2 kilowatt, 1 to 2 kilowatt, in my massive long wheelbase Transit, and that's more than enough. So you don't want an 8 kilowatt in a T5, or even a 5 kilowatt. Get a 1 to 2 kilowatt. In the packet, as I say, 65 quid. You're going to get some ducting, 2 pipes. If you're going to duct it to the moon and back, you're going to need some more. Measure the size of the hose, because this is smaller than the normal size. You get 75mm or something like that. This one's smaller, still big enough for the T5. You get 2 nice little plastic fittings, a T-piece, exhaust, which I think's a big bore 1 inch that is. Loads of pipe fittings and clamps and Jubilee clips. These Jubilee clips, worst Jubilee clips you've ever seen. You tighten them too tight, they're just going to strip. If you can afford it, maybe get some better Jubilee clips. They will work, but they're not very good. And some exhaust, which is flexible. You might want some more, you might not. Don't know where you're going to fit it, don't know where you're going to plumb your exhaust into. I have got some more down the workshop. Heater, a posh remote, there's the LCD. We've got a wiring loom, fuel pump bracket. We'll talk about fuel pumps when I install it. And a base plate. That goes on the bottom of the heater. I am not going to use the diesel tank. Let me just stick this to one side. Not going to use the diesel tank. A quick rundown. If you're going to mount this in the van, you're going to have a fuel can. That fuel can is going to leak diesel. That's going to stink your van out. You're going to fill this up. You're going to do your best not to spill it. You're going to spill it. You're going to spill some. It's going to stink your van out. So, I'm not using that. I'm going to use the tank that's on the van. I've already run a T into the line. No, I haven't. I've put a line into the tank, but I'll talk more on that when I get under the van. You get an air filter and an air intake pipe. Goes on the bottom. Air intake. Exhaust is the other one. Fuel line's the other one. It's really simple. Yeah. Even though I killed the first shot because the mic weren't on, we've taken it again, and hopefully I've shaved some few minutes off. There's your wiring loom. Let's have a look in the van. Oh, damn. Let's leave the mess behind and let's have a look at the van. If you are just watching this video and you've only just found the channel, there's my T5. Let me take a little zoom out. There's my T5. There's loads of videos on it as a build series. And we're going to install a diesel heater under the driver's seat. Now, first thing you need to sort of work out is a secondary battery. I am literally going to run you through a really basic setup of what I've done. You can get the split charge systems. Let me get the light on. It's a bit crude under it. This was a temporary job till we went away, because look how messy it is. We've got temporary fuel gauge, look. Temporary fuel gauge because my clocks have petered out. So take no notice of none of that. We're looking at the battery and take no notice of the cable tied in USB thing here. It was temporary. Now, if some of you guys are thinking, oh, I heard this DTE was all right, and we've got cable tied stuff going on here, temporary, that is another video. So you're getting a sneak peek. Anyway, we've got a secondary battery, which is the same size as the battery in the front. Now, I have basically, you can see the power wire, crudely. If we go around to the front of the van, I've hooked it straight up to the main battery that's in the front. We've got a fuse. We've got a decent sized cable, first of all. And look, it bolts nicely into there. T5 or VWs, yeah, very nice. Bolted it straight in. I've drilled it through this next to the metal panel, and then I've drilled it through into the body of the vehicle, and then I've got little black grommets. Can we see them? There's little black grommets, so we don't want it earthing out. That is charging the backup battery in the back, or secondary battery. And then what we've got is a breaker switch. Whenever I pull over, I'll flick a little breaker switch. That way it's only ever using the battery in the back. If we go to drive off, I'll then flip it on so it's charging. You can fit a split charge relay, but any split charge relay I've ever fitted, they have always drained the battery very slowly. Don't know why, but they do. You can also get very posh DC to DC chargers. I'll add a picture of both of them now. The split charge relay, very simple. If you use your van every day, I highly recommend one. If you only use it now and again, then you could possibly get a DC to DC charger. If you're only running one battery, running straight to the alternator is fine. If you're going to have a multitude of batteries, I would definitely recommend a DC to DC charger, because when we start the van, let's say that battery's flat, we start the van, we flip the switch, which is connected to two batteries, it's going to draw a lot of power from the alternator. If you've got a lot of batteries in parallel and you're asking your alternator to send direct charge to all those batteries, you're probably going to cook your alternator. So that's where a DC to DC charger comes in. I won't say it trickle charges it, but it regulates how much goes into it at one given time. We've only got one battery, that will do. Earth strap is just earth to the body. Live runs to the live. We've got a temporary USB thing here that's got it's not got a wafty connection, it's the plug. And that is fused over there. That is a secondary battery. That is nice and simple. It is really crude on this shot right now, but it is what it is. I'm going to move over to the driver's seat. Oh, and check this out. I've got kids. Look at those. What is that? That is a bit of cucumber. Oh. Anyway, have kids, they said. It'll be great, yeah. Let me readjust the camera. There is where we're going to put it, under the driver's seat. Let's get a light on the situation. We have got the comfort control module down there. And I had a few issues, and I saw online, let's magnet him. I saw online that the wires go bad. Well, I've untaped them all and they haven't gone bad. There's nothing wrong with those. But that has to stay there. You could probably, I bloody hate torches. Oh, we're getting glare now. Oh, mate. Do as you're told. You could probably shimmy that over to one side. It has to stay there, has to stay plugged in. I think that does central locking and windows and stuff like that. Diesel heater is going under there. It's going to blow out nicely. So it's blowing out to your feet. Very, very nice. But I need to work out where it's going to go. I've had a look under there, and that isn't a flat surface. There's a flat surface there, but there is also a chassis rail that runs underneath. And obviously you're not going to put your exhaust or your fuel feed through that. So I need to take the driver's seat out. There's 16mm bolts. You can see one, you can see two, and there's two more. I'm going to take the seat out. I'm going to look at that rubber matting, but I'm also going to get underneath just to check where it's coming out. So let's do that. Obviously you need to work out where it's going to go. Oh mate, there's plastic under trays under here. I forgot about that. It means I'm getting I've got a fresh Tyvek on. I don't want to be laying on the floor. Okay, so I need to jack it up and take this under tray. The joys of being a YouTuber. I've just undone all the bolts. And then no, I don't record everything I do and then pick out the good bits, because then you've got loads of footage to go through. I've undone all the bolts. Then I've got out to push start record on the camera for the last bolt. You know, the involved bit. Because you guys want to see a bit of practical, and less chit chat maybe. I've got an electric ratchet, in case you didn't notice. It's not mine. Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. So there is a whole chassis rail under here. There's a seat bolt. There's a seat bolt. Well, that doesn't leave much room for a diesel heater. Let me show you. So there's a seat bolt and the other seat bolt. Let me zoom out. One seat bolt is in this box here. The other one's there. So the diesel heater, that chassis rail that's running up and down, I take it is right in the way. So I take it the heater outlet has to come out there, but the floor's not flat. There is a grommet there, so it could point me in the right direction. I'm going to take the driver's seat out and I'm going to have a look. I'm pretty sure people install these under the driver's seat, but at the minute there ain't much room. So I'm going to get the driver's seat out, shimmy under, shimmy R, shimmy A, and we'll have a better look, see what I've worked out. Because I've got no clue at the minute. We're learning together. After a bit of shimmy R, shimmy A in, I've decided against the plate. I've took the rubber grommet off the bottom of the heater and I've gone with that. You can see my holes line up. Now I've got 100% flat surface for the heater to bolt down for it to seal. With that plate, watch some other guy on YouTube, he used that plate and it went over this recessed area. He then had to use fire foam and stuff like that. Well, that plate there is so you can bolt it to the bottom of the heater and then bolt the heater down. But if I drill these 4 holes through it, I can just bolt the heater up through the floor. Absolute no point using that plate, I don't believe. And we're going to go with this. I've measured it backwards, forwards. I've got it as far back as possible so I still get a seal. It does ever so slightly dip off here, but I do believe once I've scraped this bit of seam sealer out, I get 100% seal. So I am going to get a hole saw, like a stepper bit, I'll show you. We're going to drill out the bigger 2 holes. I am going to scrape off this bit of mastic, seam sealer. I'll put a little bit of primer on it too. I'm going to scrape that off, drill these holes, and we'll see how it looks. But I'm pretty happy with where it's sitting. Drilled most of the holes, just this one to go through a little bit more. And if we line up the rubber grommet, very, very nice, perfect. And there is a little cutaway I did mention, but most of the seal will seal. I could put a little bit of fire mastic or something there. I just need to get this hole through, scrape the mastic off. Let's get a bit of practical for the video. I've done all the big holes, done the little holes. We've just got one that is going through. The chassis rail sits under this bulge, so there's actually 2 or 3 layers of material to get through here. Extra strong for the bolts to hold on to, but I've got one hole left to drill and go all the way through. Some of you may remember, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe 6 months ago, I'm using a plug-in drill. No, it was Christmas Day, wasn't it, with the little Hyundai. Using a little plug-in drill because all my cordlesses broke. Well, things are going downhill fast here at DTE TV. I'm just kidding. I had this in the toolbox. A bit of a joke I've been thinking for ages. Big shout out to Jim, Sparky Biker Sparky. Yeah, he saw I had a few Milwaukee tools. He sent me his drill. It was used, but it's in mint condition. Said he never uses it, so thank you. Really appreciate that, I really do. I use it almost every day. But, just for giggles, shall we see how the old boys used to do it? Oh mate, maybe not through metal, might be good through wood. Well, that ain't happening. Obviously, I just drilled them big bore holes with the Milwaukee and the cone bit, and I've gone about halfway up. A little bit bigger than the tube size. You don't want it touching. Absolute mincemeat of that. When drilling metal, not telling anyone how to suck eggs, when drilling metal you have your drill slow and you press hard. If you're spinning it and it's going, ah, you've already blunted that bit. So when drilling metal, push hard, drill slow. I am going to hoover all this mess up, make sure that, let's do it live, make sure the heater fits. I'm not sure whether this bulge is going to hit the side of the heater, might have to caress it with the hammer, don't know. Let's see if it fits. If it fits first time, I'll be amazed. I'll probably need to shimmy R, shimmy A, oh, ever so slightly. I've just got to shimmy R, shimmy A the holes a little bit, probably use a little die grinder, and then I'm going to coat it in etch primer. Okay, I can see what's going on. I'll sort these holes out and we'll report back. Right, so we're finished. I have got some etch primer, some zinc primer, and the earth bolt that sits right next to it, it was fouling the heater ever so slightly. I did hammer in this bit of metal that sticks up. I just lightly caressed it in with a hammer. Only slightly. We're not punting the floor in, just a little love tap. We've taken the earth bolt out of the way. I've cleaned the edges up so there's no sharp edges on the inside, no sharp edges on the other side. Very nice, very pretty. We've got a hole there now. I'm going to cover that up. Might put a bit of mastic, might be a bit of gaffer tape. I'll cover the hole. In the T5s, there's a common problem for water to get in this area. Well, there's a hole there that's straight atmospheric. There's a hole there, and it gets wet there. And that's a hole that I haven't made. So I'm going to cover that hole, happy with that. If you're wondering on exact location, heater's just coming on behind me. If you're wondering on exact location, there's the earth that was there, and it's almost perfectly in line with the first hole. And you can see the big holes for the exhaust and inlet run right through where the seam sealer was. I did cut back the carpet. I kept trimming it and trimming it. Don't know what happened with the last footage, but I've checked it back. I was just waffling on about, I kept cutting the rubber mat back far enough so the heater could go down without touching it. That was it. Anyway, van's done. It's a couple of days later. It's a few days. It's a handful of days later. Don't know how many a handful is, but it's not the same day. Van is done, or the heater's done, should I say. Been using it for a couple of days. It is sweet. Oh, this is not easy. Could have done this before I started the shop, couldn't I? Heater's working. The heater works very well. And I was going to take this next shot, laying under the van, showing you what's going on, because I've done all of it jacked up. But you can't get a camera under there and say something, so I'm going to lift it up. I've had to move 2 project cars that barely move. We're getting the van on the ramp. I need to move these wheels free, and this will be the first time I've had the van on a ramp. Because mine's the long wheelbase, it doesn't fit on my 2-poster. It's too long. The legs don't reach. Oh, mate. I'll get this out of the way. We'll reverse it on anyway. Oh, mate, this is long-winded. I probably could have driven over them. Check this out. Oh, yeah. That'll do. Better not scuff my wheels on them bad boys. Oh, it's warm in here. It is warm in here. So one thing, let me turn this off. Might as well keep on chatting to you guys. It better be rolling anyway, because I'm not taking this shot again. That is close to my wheels. Oh. I'll talk to you in a sec. I'm concentrating. Yeah, just get it up on the ramp. Oh, she's wider. Yeah, I'm there. Anyway, the heater, I think I mentioned in the start of the video, concentrating. The heater, I mentioned in the start of the video, I think I did, is a lot smaller than any other heater I've seen before. Normally the heaters are Chinese heaters, same size as the other ones. Yay sized, 75mm, I think, pipe, inlet and outlet. This heater is loads smaller, and it's got like 50, 55mm, so it's definitely a lot smaller, which makes it perfect for a van. It would be perfect in a caddy as well, because if you start putting a 2 or 5 kilowatt heater in a caddy, you're going to get cooked. I think I need to go back a bit more. Do I? Could have set this up before, couldn't I? But it makes a bit of an interesting shot, right? Hopefully it's going to lift it up. I've seen vans on this ramp, but I've not had mine on it. Let me get you in a bit closer. Not that it's that interesting to look at. This shot is 4 minutes long. Come on, wrap this up. No one likes a 4-minute shot. Well, it's lifting. Can't hear any funny noises going on. We have got lights up above. Don't want to be scratching the paintwork. Anyway, I'm going to clip this here. Hopefully not clip the roof. We'll have a look at the heater from underneath. The heater's on, by the way. There's a couple of bits I want to talk about. But I've obviously got to keep checking. Oh, there's loads of them. But to be honest, because I'm such a tall geezer, I'm a bit scared. Because I'm such a tall geezer, oh, that is like perfect height. I'll get you guys in, and you can have a better look, see what we bodged together. Let's have a better look. So, you might be able to tell, you can hear the heater's on. First of all, we're going to look at how it's bolted down. Let me pan upwards. Can we get a better focus? Good enough. We've got the 4 bolts bolting straight through the van up into the heater. That is nice and secure. We're happy with that. The exhaust, I did mention that these Jubilee clips, they're not the best. I have ordered all new Jubilee clips because I need some for the fuel line. Because I'm using silicone hosing, because it lasts longer than the hosing that comes, my cable ties that are temporary, definitely not permanent, I'm waiting for all new Jubilee clips. Testing purposes only, okay? Exhaust, back to the exhaust. If I step back, you should be able to see my exhaust, where we got a bit of focus in there, my exhaust is facing downwards all the way, and you can see the condensation. If you have your heater exhaust running along and then it goes up a bit, water builds up, and then I think it ends up filling up. You can see it is dropping water, so make sure your exhaust is facing down all the way. And one little tip I noticed on the internet, I never knew before, can you see that little hole in the bottom of the exhaust? Well, that's a drain hole, so make sure that's facing the bottom, not facing upwards. Exhaust, nice and simple. The intake, that is a temporary, permanent cable tie fixture through the chassis rail, and that's holding it solid. Intake's nice and easy. Literally, put it on, find a good location for where it to sit, and that's about it. Fuel pump, I've got a bit of threaded bar. That was from inside the step. I pulled the step out. I didn't have a 6mm thread, which I call a 10mm bolt, because it's a 10mm nut and bolt that fits it. I didn't have a long enough one, so I used threaded bar. I pulled the step out, threaded bar inside, and it doesn't go all the way. Can we see? There's a little gap. I haven't solidly bolted mine, and the reason being, they can be quite noisy. If you solidly bolt that to the van, that amplifies the sound massively. So yes, mine's floating. I need another lock nut just so it doesn't slide off. And if we look at it carefully, you can see that it's jolting. If that was solidly bolted, that's amplified through the van and it's quite noisy. I'm a bit like Hook out of Peter Pan. If it's a ticking clock, it really does my head in. I like the sound of the roaring from the intake and the exhaust, but I cannot stand the ticking of a pump. So if you bolt it solidly and think it sounds like a bomb gonna go off, try making it float a little. And this silicone hose I've used, that helps a lot because it dampens out all the noise. Let's look at the fuel line. You'll see. I've got some copper line and I routed it. There was unused brake pipe clips. That goes over the top of the heat shield. In that brake pipe clip, swoops around, and I did use the original hose that comes in the kit here, and we've got the proper clips on. And then I've got copper line that runs into my tank. If you want to know more about fitting copper line into your tank, there is a video, DTE TV, T5 diesel tank, and it should come up. I'll drop the tank and I'll show you how to install the bit. But I was going to use the plastic line that comes in the kit, but I had copper line. I had a spare clip for it to clip into. It's even clipped in one there, all proper. So I thought I might as well. As I say, that goes over the heat shield. I put a little swoop on it, and that is about it. They're really simple to install. There is a few tips I want to give you, because if you do it wrong, you're going to come up with error codes, and then you might start to worry. But they're really simple. I'll explain some error codes. One quick thing: the wiring loom for the diesel pump, I poked it through. Can we find it? So that grommet is right next to the heater. I drilled a hole in the centre, I cut a slit in the grommet, slid the wire through and put the grommet back in. Nice and simple. Literally, it's all tucked right there. No extra sort of brackets or anything like that. A little cable tie holding everything together. I'm happy with that. It's tidy enough. We just need some better Jubilee clips, because as I say, the ones that come with it are not very good. Let me lower it down and show you the inside. So we're inside. And you might tell from earlier on in the video, I watched back and edited the first half of this video, it looked like a mess under there. So I finished it. We've got a box on the top. I say a box on the top, it's 5mm ply, carpeted, one on the top, one on the back, and my cable tied mounts, or where my charging points are, bosh, right in the front. That one's pretty good. Does the volts and the temperature. Battery sitting at 12.6 volts. And yes, because my wiring looked an absolute mess, I sorted all that out. It looks absolutely mint, just like this. Well, it might not look like that. It might be different, but you can't see it. It's still under there, and the battery's still under there. And I made little notches so it like sits in nicely. These are screwed on, top ones ain't. If I lift this bad boy out of the way, the heater, I mentioned, it's loads smaller than the other ones. Why can I hear an airline hissing out of nowhere? I hate hissing airlines, let me fix that. What is going on? Oh, I can't fix it, it's the drain off valves. It should shut up in a minute. Anyway, heater's a load smaller. Better for a small van, small camper. Does it keep? That is on its lowest setting. I have got the controller doobry screen thing here on the wall. That is temporary, because I need to rip the whole inside of the van out to carpet line it, which I'm halfway through. I'll give you a little sneak peek in a minute. That's the next video. So that is literally double-sided tape there. I don't know where I'm going to put it. It will be somewhere there. Might put it diagonal, don't know. And I'll tell you what, it's really nice. Say me and the missus and the kids, they like to go to B&M, Home Bargains, you know. It's like the middle aisle of Lidl or Aldi or whatever. They like going there, and you come out, you get in the van, it's freezing. Freezing. Don't like the cold, nor do the missus and the kids. So we go in B&M, leave the heater on, get back in it, it's lovely. Absolutely brilliant. You can drive along with them on. My exhaust is facing backwards, like an exhaust on a vehicle. If you had it facing forwards, whilst driving, and the heater on, it's going to blow back. So make sure your exhaust is facing backwards. Just going to really quickly run you through some simple things that people miss and get wrong. First of all, starting the heater, I've only got one battery. When they first start up, they can withdraw up to 10 amps. 10 amps is almost enough to suck start a Massey Ferguson. There's plenty of amps coming. So what I do, with one battery, I'll fire the van up. If you've got a split charge DC to DC charger, something like that, or you've linked it like mine with a hard line and then a breaker switch, I'll talk more on that towards the end of the video. I fire the van up, that puts 14 volts into this back battery, fire the heater up, then as soon as it starts to warm up, the glow plug in the heater turns off and then it drops down to 1 amp, so then you can turn your van off. maybe if you've got one battery and it's not as healthy as it used to be, as soon as you start pulling massive amps, it goes below 10 volts, 11 volts, then it throws up an error code. That is an easy thing to mistake. You can even push a couple of buttons on there, read the instruction manual, and you can get volts up on the screen. So if you're not firing your van up and you're running it off one battery, watch the volts. If it drops below 11 volts, error code comes up. There's not enough juice in the batteries. First start up, it took me 5 attempts to start this because the diesel has got to come all the way through that copper line, through the little filter, into the pump, into the heater, fired up, error code. Fired it up again, error code. But every time I could see the fuel filter was filling up with diesel, it took 5 times of error coming up and then starting it again for it to bleed itself out. I did even suck on the pipe a little, you know, like Cheech. And I got diesel as far as I can, and it still took 5 attempts. And one last one, I've never seen this fault before. All fault codes, if you Google the number, code 6, code 8, code 10, they're online. So if you get stuck, Google it. It's really easy. Don't be put off about fault codes, error codes. It's user error. That's normally what it is. Battery's too low. Diesel ain't at the heater. Third one, in the shot that we got cut short earlier, last time, handful of days ago, I said I cut the rubber matting away from the heater. Well, I left a little bit. So the diesel heater is bolted to the bottom of the van. A bit of rubber matting was slightly pressing on the plastic outer casing of the heater. And that outer casing was lightly pressed on the fan. This has got a fan in it, blowing it out. Well, the outer casing was just touching the fan, which held the fan stopped. So it wouldn't spin, wouldn't fire up, error code. So once you've bolted your heater down, unscrew, it's not a vent. If you can imagine on one end of the heater, it's just a little covering with holes in it. Unscrew that once it's bolted down and just make sure, stick your fingers in there, not with it on, to make sure your fans spin freely. They are the 3 main errors that come up. Low battery, diesel's not at the heater, or the new one, as I know of today, the fan was stuck because I hadn't cut enough rubber matting round. Other than that, absolutely brilliant. Do they do a good enough job? Well, it's warm enough in here. My van, other van, Transit, got long wheelbase Transit, you know, not my favourite van in the world, rust welding. That's got a 2 kilowatt heater, which is the bigger size to that. Again, I've never seen one of these smaller ones. I will put a link to this exact heater in the video description. And that works very well in the Transit, getting confused, we're back. And this tiny little one is a 1 to 2 kilowatt. Brilliant. I haven't even put it on to number 5 yet, we're on number 1. The only way to test whether it'll keep you warm at night, because it's down to like 0 at night at the moment, the only real way to test it is... We're going to have to camp in the van. We've got to test the heater out. It's only about 7 PM. I normally work till about 10. So I'm going to find a luxurious parking spot and camp out for the night. Got my carp fishing bed, got the Tracker sleep mattress, we've got the 4 Seasons sleeping bag, we've got my little TV box, 12 volter, we've got the night light, I'm ready to go. What more does a man need? I've got some carpet, used carpet, but not just any used carpet, freshly hoovered used carpet. So it's all good. Gonna do some more work and we'll catch up. We're in the van. It is about 10:30. Where's my phone? It is 23 minutes past 10. Temperature is 18 degrees. I did I had the heater on while the van was parked out here, and I did pick a picturesque setting. No, just kidding. But I'm parked down the estate, basically. Don't like to stray too far from the postcode. Not on the first night out, anyway. The bed fits. I've got my carp fishing bed. If you've ever slept in a carp fishing bed, what happens is, you set your bivvy up. It's not a tent. You set your bivvy up, you get all your fishing gear out, you set your bed out, and you lay in it, and it's really comfy. For a snooze. I can't sleep that well overnight. I like to roll on my side in the night, and they're basically a U shape, so you're literally in the middle of the bed. So I'm probably going to have a broken night's sleep. If I plan to do a few nights in the van, I will make a double bed with a proper mattress, proper flat bed, proper bed, home from home. But I like the van. It's comfy, it's warm in here, heater's doing good. I'm used to a van. I lived in a jumbo sized transit van for a couple of years, and I've lived in caravans, mobile homes and outbuildings my whole adult life. I like being outside. There's something about a house that's a bit prison-y. I don't know, I'm a bit weird. But we're comfy, got the telly box on, we are watching.
You get it lined up, the better you are for going down the road and everything.
Pudding's Fab Shop. There's a couple of geezers I watch. Vice Grip Garage, Derek. It's American, that's why I say garage. Pudding's Fab Shop, Junkyard Digs, and who's that other geezer? Oh, what's his name? Ah, Pole Barn Garage. Don't know why I watch American YouTubers. I have no clue. I don't watch people like Matt Armstrong and all the other UK ones. Don't know why. I do watch Colin Furze, but everyone watches Colin Furze, right? Who wouldn't want a tunnel under their house? Comfy. I can already tell it's a little bit warm in here for my liking. As mentioned, I've lived most of my adult life half outside, so I'm used to it being a bit colder. It is 2 degrees outside, 18 degrees in here. The heater's on its lowest setting, number 1. Batteries are at 12.6 still, and so once the heater's fired up, they don't use a lot of electric. I can't tell you how much diesel they use because my diesel gauge don't work and I can't see the fuel, but it ain't a lot. And I did mention in the last shot that I was going to talk about a breaker switch. Basically what I do, I wire, for the leisure battery, I wire a hardwire amp size cable, you know, like an old car amp, the chunky red wire. I ordered that from eBay, goes from the front battery to the back battery, it's got a fuse up the front, and then I have a breaker switch. I'd already pre-planned this shot. I was meant to get the breaker switch. I haven't wired it up yet, so I am using the front battery and the back battery at the moment. Hopefully the van's not flat in the morning, we'll find out. I'll put a picture up of the breaker switch I use. It is just basically a 12 volt inline breaker switch, and it's an 80 amp version. What'll happen is I will drive around everywhere and they're connected. If I pull over like now, lights on, TV on, and my TV is hooked to another battery, but normally it would be hooked to the battery under the seat. When I pull over, I hit the breaker switch. That way everything in the back is only running off the back battery. Then the next morning, I fire the van up, let it run for a minute or two so it recharges the front battery, because obviously it uses a little bit overnight and then you started it. And then I reach down, fa-donk, and I connect the breaker switch back up. That then charges the back battery. Simples. If you want more batteries, you're going to need a DC to DC charger or a split relay. But a split charge relay, I haven't got on with them in the past. They always do a little drain, and after about 3 or 4 days, the van would always be flat if you didn't use it. If you use it every day, it's fine. Anyway, it's comfy time. So, a fishing bed chair fits. You've got to see the back to me now. I haven't thought this out. I've got 2 things to say. First of all, fishing bed chair fits with one of the seats unclipped. That's fine. A normal bed, my feet are nowhere near there. I'm a tall geezer. I'm not the tallest of geezer, but my feet are nowhere near the boot. So a double bed in here would be perfect. Second thing I want to say, I like facing the back of the van. This is hard work. I feel really rude. I like facing the back of the van. Let's say you're parked up somewhere. Someone crashes into the back of your van and your head's down that end. You're going to know about it, right? So that's my logic for having my head up this end. Maybe at the side, but I don't think the van's long enough. Let's find out. It's a T5 from a tall geezer. My transit was just not wide enough. Oh no. I can touch the side and my head's on there. Diagonals? Oh yeah, we've got loads. So, a double bed. Anyway, this is getting on to DTE chat time, late night chat time. We're trying to review the heater. Heater's working, I'm getting comfy. I said to 2 people about this camp over to test the heater. One of them was the other Nathan, Foxy, who I work with. Another geezer was Jay Wallace, good pal of mine. I said to them both that I'm going to do this. And I've got a mobile home just there. I live in a mobile home. And they said to me, what, you're going to take this shot, go and run and sleep in your nice double bed, then come out here in the morning and take the shot? I was like, no. No, I'm not going to do that. This is real time. I'm not a morning person. I'm not going to get the biggest shot, but I will get a shot in the morning. After I've watched some car stuff, I like to watch a bit of science program. History of the universe, history of the earth. History of the universe, you just watch it, because it's that much information that you can't take it in. So you end up watching it in a daydream, and lean over, turn it off. Anyway, late night chit chat from DTE. I'll see you in the morning. Hopefully the heater keeps me warm. I think I might have to turn it off because it's a bit hot in here. It's not a big van. I could just about hear the diesel pump too. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning. Well, it is not long past 8:30. 7:30, sorry. And I weren't cold. Not in the slightest, actually. Didn't sleep too great. Must have woke up about 30 times. Oh man, what is it about these beds? Awful, terrible. I have got a carbon monoxide tester. Kiddie, whatever they're called. Says 0. That's all good. It was cold outside last night and heavily foggy. And there is not a drop of condensation there. None on the windows, none on the inside of the van. Does the diesel heater keep it dry? Anyway, done a good job, nice and toasty, cheap for the money. I'll put all the links in the video description. Next week we're going to finish the sound insulation and sound deadening and carpet lining. I've now got to go do 10 hours work and get out of van. Yay. But it's all good, nice and warm, toasty, happy days. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.